What's up guys, it's your boy Swampy D here. I'm making a video today that I didn't really think I'd be making anytime soon. You know, being online, especially in these spaces of the Lolcow world, it's probably never really a good idea to try to strike up these relationships with people in the community. Something I learned from Jump and something that I always avoided was getting really close with members of the community. Not to say that I don't have friends. I have friends for 10 years in the horror community, the crime community, etc. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm more talking about dating fans, getting involved with people in a romantic level, putting out your sensitive information to these people. I mean, in reality, pretty much anybody can find information about anybody. It's really not that hard in 2025. If you want to do yourself a real disservice, dating people who are fans of you, already starting off with a bad dynamic, and are also very much into the community of toxicity like Lolcowism is probably a real big red flag, and you should avoid that. Now look, we all make mistakes in life. All of us are 21 at one point or the other. All of us are young and dumb, and sometimes our perceptions and our understandings of moral integrity can be a little bit skewed. And sometimes we just do things out of lust and not love. We do things without really thinking, and all of us have been there or done that on some sort of level. But what Lemur did is almost inexcusable, especially at his age. Now, when I first stumbled upon this the other day, I saw him upload a video to his channel, and I've had very surface level interactions with him. Talked to him maybe once or twice on Twitter, maybe through YouTube comments here and there. Mainly when I found the Dan Sobel thing, that's kind of my whole thing. You know, I saw him covered, I was like, oh wow, okay, let me check into this. And I do believe I even shouted him out in that first video on the whole physical media community, because that is where I found it. Then I'm seeing all this stuff come out. I even went to Kiwi Farms, and I haven't been there since I started the Cyrax thing, because I saw very questionable things, and unfortunately, some pictures I never wanted to see of Cyrax, and ever since then, I was like, you know what, Kiwi Farms can do their thing. You know, I don't want to see any of this anymore. I'll just cover the videos on Rumble and YouTube. But as I started going through these text threads and actually hearing other sides of the stories and seeing some of the other videos with some proof and different perspectives, I had a completely different mindset on this. Because at first, you know, the way he presents it, it's like, hey, you know, this was just a dumb drunken experiment, she's crazy, that type stuff. And then he kind of like played it very nonchalantly, like he had nothing really to do with anything. That did strike me odd from Jump, but at the same time, I've heard this story time and time again with YouTubers. You know, how many YouTubers have dated a fan that just kind of went psycho, right? It never ends up too well, and that's why I've always kept my personal life far away from YouTube. You know, my life does not need to be my job, if you know what I mean, right? Like, they usually don't intertwine anyway. Like, I could be working at Walmart, and I'm not going to be sitting there putting my entire personal life out there for everybody at Walmart to see, right? Some people always act like that means you have something to hide, but not really, no. I just think that's the smarter way to do it. Like, my personal life does not need to be injected into the internet. Like, you know, I've never really been a fan of that. I barely have social media of my own. I'm very inactive on it. You know, everything I have used to be just for my channel back in the day when I was doing that at a more full-time rate. And now, you know, I'm kind of just like, I'm so glad that I never really was perpetually online like that. Like, I probably had like a 1 to 2 year run on Twitter where I was shit posting like daily. But even then, it was never anything crazy, you know? I'm sure I probably said something that somebody will find offensive, but like, I personally have just never really found any interest in trying to date, get with, or anything even remotely past just having fun comments and a fun community. You know, my thing has always been like, let's come together, enjoy this stuff. This is like a reprieve. This is a way to get away from the BS of life. I never wanted this to be some sort of dating forum or some sort of pool for me to be like, yeah, that one works. You know, to me, it's all weird when people have those personalities, and you know, you just see that all the freaking time now on YouTube. It is non-stop. It Twitch, YouTube, everything. You know, it's just non-stop. You see these allegations coming out daily. And, you know, if you're going to be in a channel like this, you really can't be the pot calling the kettle black. And I'll be the first one to say, I'm not an expert on anything. I'm definitely not the highest IQ. I'm definitely not the smartest guy out there, you know. Definitely not the best guy out there. But I can gladly say I've never done anything weird, you know? Like, I personally do not understand how it is so hard to have a little common sense and to just keep your words to yourself, keep your hands to yourself, and just know people's boundaries. I've just never been one to go out there and just like these Twitch people, like you see them touching people and essaying people and all this, and they don't care even when people say to stop. And like that was like the first thing my parents taught me, was just like, keep your hands to yourself, treat people how you wanted to be treated, etc. I personally don't want people groping all over me, so why would I grope all over you? You know, that's just how I see things. And apparently that's just not what anybody else is seeing apparently on these spaces. spaces anymore. So we're gonna jump into this stuff. I'm sorry for the rant. I wanted to open this up a little differently than I normally would do videos because this is a tried and true, tireless story that I've seen time and time again. And it doesn't matter if it was the Lolcow community, the horror community, the crime community, all the different communities I've been a part of over the past decade. It is always the same thing. And I just don't understand why it's so hard to not just upload videos and just not be a weirdo. Like, I just don't get it. Anyways, let's jump into the creeping lemur.
So like a few months ago, I had started dating somebody online, which isn't a good idea. But what also isn't a good idea is that I told them about my YouTube channel, which at the time didn't seem like a big deal because they were also posting stuff online. I thought they understood like Lolcow culture. I thought they understood content. They said that they watched me a lot.
Listen, we fucked up.
And I was like, cool, that's what's up. I told them that, you know, there's a risk to posting your face online. There's a risk to being associated with me. They said that that was cool. They were like, well, they didn't say that was cool, but they were like, oh, you know, that's crazy. That's insane, whatever. Now, I guess this is just me sort of being like naive or not really being in a lot of relationships, but I thought it was a good idea to start presenting this person on my channel. Obviously, in hindsight, not a good idea. But, you know, to be honest with you, I'm young. I'm 21. I haven't been in many serious relationships. And it felt like this person had a strong connection to me. So I thought it was a good idea.
See, this is where my first red flag had to go up, is because, you know, leaning on your age and acting like that's an excuse for what you did is already making it seem like you're not going to take any accountability. And after listening to all of this, I think we'll come to that same conclusion at the end of this. But my first time hearing this, you know, I wasn't really listening to it through a biased or a very critical ear. And I really am pretty unbiased in all of this because I don't really have any relationships or any reason to actually care or have an opinion on any of this. So as just a simply objective opinion, that just rubbed me the wrong way, because now you're starting this video from jump with an excuse as to why you're not at fault. But let's keep listening.
I'm sure a few of you have seen this person in chat. I'm sure you've seen them come into my comment section. I'm sure you've all seen some of the things that they were saying about me, they were saying to me. There was obviously like a very, it was a toxic sort of connection, right? To have somebody who is like obsessed with you over the internet and they want to be your partner, because when things go bad, when things go south, it usually doesn't turn out good. Like, people don't usually amicably separate. Things don't go good. It usually turns into a shit throwing fight most of the time, where people are throwing things back and forth. You did this, you did that. It should have been something that I had thought about, but inexperienced, I was blinded by the fact that I thought I had found somebody who I was truly connected to.
I definitely don't want to be overcritical of anybody, but honestly, if you could articulate so well that you know these types of relationships never really work out, and you've definitely grown up on YouTube seeing those types of things being 21, it's very convenient and low-key suspicious that you now suddenly are like, yeah, I know that now, but I didn't know that a week ago. It doesn't really make any sense to me. If you can articulate it now and understand it so deeply now, just a week later, what makes me think you didn't understand that from jump and that was your intention? We can flip this very easily on Lemur, and I think that's the problem with this response. Personally, I think until you have all your ducks in a row, you should just not say anything. But clearly, a guilty conscience will always prevail with a YouTuber, especially when they have the ego that this guy seems to have, which will come into play a little bit later. You'll see some actually really sad screenshots about him talking trash about people he supposedly called friends.
Like, if I was lying, I probably wouldn't be able to lie this good. So I'm telling you right now, this girl isn't a very good person. She isn't a very good person at all. Like, you have to understand that. And that's why most of the shit that she is saying about me that is negative isn't corroborated by text. It isn't corroborated by screenshots that I know that she would have because she has other ones. It's hearsay. But besides that, I was getting to a point, right? We had went to go see each other and we were chilling. We were doing our thing. Like, this is a girl that I don't drink. I just turned 21 not too long ago. I'm not going to lie. I mean, everybody drinks before they turn 21, right? If you're like 19, 20, you're going to a party, you're going to drink. So I'm drinking. I mean, that's what I do. You know what I mean? Like, I chill. Like, I get chill when I drink and everything's cool. Like, the first couple of nights were chill. And I'm like, the third night, I don't know what happened with this girl, but I'm being honest with you right now. We drank. It wasn't, I don't even think, I mean, I wasn't that drunk. Maybe she drank more than me, honestly. But then again, she's a fucking, like, she knows what she's doing. You know what I mean? She drinks more than me. Like I said, before we even got into the relationship, I didn't really drink. A lot of people know this. I don't drink on stream. She's the one who was like, hey, you should start drinking. You're 21. I drink, started drinking. So we're chilling.
Something I noticed, he actually leaves out in this video that this girl is like 3 years younger than him. So if he's freshly 21, that would make her 18. So very interesting there that she would be drinking and pushing this 21-year-old into drinking. That's another thing that caught me off guard. I had to throw a yellow card out because that doesn't make much sense to me again. Sure, younger people can be persuasive and they can be persistent, but you're the adult. You're the older person. You're the elder in this situation. How are you going to get bullied by some 18-year-old girl into drinking more? How are you going to think that they're more of a drinker than you? Like, none of this makes any sense. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be hypercritical, but sometimes people just say things and it just strikes me as super odd. Like, what did you think was going to happen when you said that? Did you think everybody was just going to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense? No, you're the adult here. You're the older person. Sure, yes, you're both adults in legal sense, but like, holy shit, dude. She drinks more than me. I'm 21. She's 18. It's like, brother, come on.
We're drinking. This girl goes and like we're laying in bed, just chilling. And she gets up randomly and starts looking at the wall, like looking at the wall on some like psychosis shit, like straight at the wall. And she starts saying like a bunch of shit that I don't even know what she's talking about. It's almost like she went through psychosis. And this is exactly what she told me herself happened. She said that she went through drunken psychosis. So she gets up and she starts saying, don't hit me, don't do this, don't do that, da 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 da. Like random shit, and I'm far away from her on the other side of the bed just staring at her like, what the fuck? She walks out of the room, like stumbles out of the hotel room. I end up locking the key inside. I have to go down to the fucking thing and get a key. So I go down to the thing and get a key. I walk back up. I let us in our room, and she's just belligerent, like just going off, telling me I'm this, telling me I'm that. Obviously, like I'm not some kind of dude who's gonna sit there and take that on. Maybe she thought I was. Maybe it's because she was drunk. I don't know. But she started saying a bunch of shit, and I'm like, you don't have to be here. Just go. I'm like kind of tired of hearing you talk shit. I'm trying to go to bed. And that set her off. She didn't like that I kicked her out of the hotel room. She got really angry and started slamming shit. I put down money on the fucking hotel room or whatever the fuck. The room. I put money on it. So, you know, her, like, if she starts slamming shit and breaking shit, obviously I'm gonna have to pay for it. So I'm like, what the fuck? I told her to get out. I'm like, you gotta get out of here. Like, you're slamming shit now. You really, like, just go. I'll pack your stuff. I'll get you out. That made her mad. So she started hitting me. I'm not lying to you. Dead ass. I'll look you dead in the eye and tell me. Girl started socking me. Like, hitting me. She hit me in the jaw. She hit me in the mouth. And she bit my arm. Bit me. Maybe that's why they call her teeth gums. I don't know. She fucking bit me. Right? Like, she started going through this crazy. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you hitting me for? And she's like, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Get out of here. Leave me alone. I'm like, you gotta leave. Like, this was it.
Now, I'll be the first one to say I'm definitely not a fan or a supporter of any sort of domestic or physical violence. We don't need to be Cyraxing Heather 2s out here, you know what I mean? But at the same time, feels like you're leaving out a lot of context. And at first, it really does just sound like this girl drank too much and then had some sort of bad reaction to it. But when you hear the other side, which we will jump into in just a minute, you start to really question Lemur's story because a lot of holes begin to appear. And once you notice those holes, they suddenly become a lot more gaping than you thought. But like I said, we'll jump into that after we finish this up right here.
100% transparent with you guys right now. I'm breaking it all down for you. So I don't understand why she would just lie about something so big. I don't know. At the end of the day, this girl wants attention. I sat there with her and we were chilling on the couch in the hotel. And I remember vividly having a conversation with her about how, and this was a huge red flag for me at the time, but I didn't really realize it until I sobered up, right? I didn't really realize it. She was sitting there telling me about how she always wanted to be a YouTuber, how she always wanted attention, and how she always craved attention. She said, she sat there and we were sitting down and she looked at me in the eye and she said, I would do anything to get that attention. And that's kind of, you know, after I thought about that for a while and I'm like, yeah, that's probably not a good thing because then shit like this happens.
See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He mentions all these red flags after the fact and keeps stating the obvious, you know, the common sense viewpoint of things here, trying to make that seem like that's what he was doing from jump. But if that was what he was doing from jump, would he even be in this situation? Wouldn't he have just told her to F off when he noticed that at the couch? Wouldn't he have just not gotten with her in the beginning? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The more you really think about it, the more you see more plot holes open up here. Anyways, with that said, we're gonna jump into some more interesting stuff because apparently Lemur did an interview with a gentleman where Lemur's responses weren't so great. And then after that, we'll jump into the other side of things.
Shit, right? If Lily shows the full scope of the message, you guys had been making, you guys probably, everybody probably already heard me say this already, but Anyway, I was just making a joke trying to see if like, I guess not even trying to see, just trying to make a joke towards the fact that Lily, like people were messing around with Lily and saying she was a porn addict. So I was like, would you, it wasn't real, bro. Like it was a fucking hypothetical,
My
like a
girlfriend's
stupid
a porn
hypothetical.
addict. I need to watch incest porn to counteract the haters.
But that's the thing, like the text messages didn't show that I watch incest porn or that I like incest porn. It was me saying like, what would you do if I
called you step bro,
sis?
yeah, well,
It was
you
a
being
joke.
coy. Come on.
Like it, bro, I'm telling you right now, it was like a joking hypothetical. That's just like how
Oh,
me and
hey,
Lily
what
would
if
joke
we
around.
like LOL had sex? LOL, but just kidding though. LOL.
But that's not what it was though. It was a hypothetical, like of me trying to make. I guess it was more. It was like a crude. It was like a crude, edgy joke, bro. I'm just being honest with you. It really was, bro. It was to me.
I'm
in
laughing.
My eyes,
That's why I find it funny.
Well, yeah, I was just trying to like, I was fucking around with her, bro. Like, obviously, if I was into that shit, she would have way more text messages. We had a lot of sexual contact. She would have proof that I was like step sis, step da 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 da. It was one offhanded remark I made as a joke. That's my point I'm trying to make.
Now, I'm going to show the text on screen now as we're talking about this, of what he's talking about, and while these are probably some of the more mundane screenshots that Lily shared, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that maybe Lemur's not into incest in a literal fashion, but considering like incest prawn seems to be like the most looked up prawn on like any website ever, I'd say there's probably a good chance that that might turn him on for some roleplay. And I'm not judging, now do your things, boys and girls. Just keep it off the internet and don't do it with people that are several years under you, especially if you're a YouTuber. Probably won't go the way you think it will, just like you said, Mr. Lemur. So the next couple of text messages we're gonna see are a little bit different. These are from Lily apparently talking about how Lemur is just a massive egotistic man, wears the same 2 outfits a week, and honestly is just super loud and disrespectful to the people around him. Apparently he's taking care of a family of 7 in a house that holds 3 bedrooms, which again, nothing wrong with that. Live your struggle and take care of your family. But it does seem that he is a very messy human being, and apparently this Lily girl made a joke at one point saying, "You're just like Nova," and he went off, spazzing and not being very happy about it. But as sad as that is, he's also talking crap about his friends Chilla, talking crap about Kiwi tapes, and all kinds of people saying that they're stealing his video ideas. And well, shoot, I got an idea from your channel once. Are you talking crap about me too? What did I do, brother? This is YouTube. We all do the same thing. It's kind of crazy to get mad about that type of stuff.
So Lemur would one day decide to get into a relationship with a girl who was barely 18 and was seeming like something wasn't all there with her, but at that point it was only speculation. But what isn't speculation is that after a few short months of where Lemur love bombed this girl, telling her that he was gonna make her rich, YouTube famous, buy her everything she ever wanted, and sold her a dream. After selling this dream of a fancy lifestyle, he would begin to beg her for bedtime activities, using very creepy and cringe language such as, "Can you help me nut?" and "Next up, will you make me nut, bro?" After love bombing Teeth Gums, Lemur and her made a trip to North Carolina, where it's believed she was lured in with the idea of money and alcohol. They would end up hanging out in a hotel room for a majority of the time, where Lemur would begin to supply her with copious amounts of alcohol, where a drunken Teeth Gums would come into consciousness barely, occasionally degrading positions such as Lemur on top of her, Lemur throwing her into the shower where he stood and watched. Lemur would admit later on that during most of her blackout, he was doing adult time. Lily would finally sober up, jumping up, realizing what was done, where she panicked and tried to fight off Lemur. Lemur claims that he held her down with no altercation besides that, and her cussing him out, Lily grabbed what she could and ended up storming off.
First and foremost, shout out to Mayor Menace. They're very close to 2K subscribers, help them hit that. They're the first one I saw actually cover the other side of this story, and I wanted to show some of what they said because I felt like they really articulated it well and said it better than I could or anybody else could. Now, when you just hear Lemur's side, it seems like this girl was just crazy, and obviously she has a reputation on Kiwi farms and such, so he tried to exploit that that to make her look a lot less credible. But when you listen to Mayor Menace here explain the other side of things, it does make you have to throw some questions out there. Obviously, there's always going to be three sides. His side, her side, and the truth. And that's where all of this becomes a real challenge on the internet, especially this day and age. But I honestly don't know where to land or where to feel, but when you see how bad Lemur's response has been, how he has taken no accountability and blamed everybody else, it seems like that this might have some more weight to it, if you know what I mean. There's definitely more going on that meets the eye, and when you see all these screenshots that Mayor Menace puts up, it's definitely damning.
Some of these screenshots are really vulgar and just straight up cringe to read, so I'm gonna just read out the tame ones at least. So starting from the beginning, it says, "Yeah, but I wanted to hang out, it's fine," and she says, "We will, I'm not saying we aren't, but considering like I got a couple things to do, and then I think later my brother needs help with the yard, when he like does something, I will call you, probably soon too. I hate when you complain, it's ungrateful." And he says, "I'm not trying to complain, I just miss you." And she says, "Well," and he goes, "I swear." And then the second one, she asks him if he got food yet, and then he says, "Oh, okay, I'm waiting for you to call. I want your blank. I've been waiting forever, it feels like. I need to." Yeah, it's just straight up cringe.
No, I definitely agree with Mayor Menace there. This is the cringiest thing I've ever seen, and while obviously if this is in private it is what it is, but since we have the context around it, it definitely makes this weirder. And then when you look in the background, you see that it has teeth, which I guess her name is Tooth Gums online, and then you see a lemur. Oh boy, what the hell is AI doing in this world? But that's where I'm going to cut this one off. If you want to check out the rest of Mayor Menace's video, please do check that out. There's a lot of great information about this, and I think you guys would very much enjoy it. If anything else happens, I'll probably do an update on this. Let's hope Lemur doesn't come and try to smack me up and try to throw some hands. It's okay, brother. I do appreciate you letting me cover Dan Sobel, even though I didn't need any permission to do so. But I am forever grateful for being able to look at other channels and be like, hey, that's a great video, maybe I should try to make one of my own. And that's just how YouTube is. So when you see all these parts where Lemur gets mad at Chilla, gets mad at Morty, gets mad at Kiwi, it doesn't make any sense, because at the end of the day, we're all covering the same shit. They're all lolcows, they're all weirdos. That's what I keep mentioning on my channel. I'm like, why do we keep gatekeeping PDFs? Why do we keep gatekeeping these topics? It doesn't make any sense. You're not suddenly gonna get less views because Uncle Swampy D decided to cover Cyrax or decided to cover Nova, blah blah blah. That's not really how the algorithm works, and anybody who's been alive long enough and is over 21 years old should be able to figure out that that's not how the algorithm works at all. Sucks to see another YouTuber fall down the road of lolcowdism. As I said in the beginning, it really shouldn't be hard to keep your hands to yourself, keep your words to yourself, and not date your audience, because this is what's going to happen every single freaking time. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, throw down your comments, and I'll see you soon.